acknowledges that this event takes place on the lands of the Blackfoot people and Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3, and we pay respect to their past, present, and future cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land. SACPA commits to assist reconciliation efforts by raising awareness of the ways past and present injustices can be reconciled.
I'd like you to welcome Kim Gallucci. He used to run the Sportsplex. All the name changes, I just call it the Sportsplex. But now he's the CEO of Excite, which is a new name for the Lethbridge Exhibition, like the umbrella organization. And we're really looking forward to listen to what he has to say about the new structure, and we'll welcome your questions afterwards. So without further ado, please welcome Kim Gallucci.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Knud. Thank you, everyone, for inviting us out. We really do appreciate having the opportunity to speak to you today, especially on what's going on with the exhibition in general and what we've done just recently and how that will work. And I'll hopefully be able to answer most of your questions following that. So to begin, I'm going to take us a little bit back in time. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history. A lot of you may know it, but we think it would be good to just go back in history, bring it kind of to what took place, and then where we are today, and what does that future mean for everyone. Lethbridge and District Exhibition, you likely heard about with the cost of the building, formerly known as the Agriculture, Food and Agri-food Hub and Trade Centre. Many of you may not know, or many of you may have opinions that you'd have of the region, what happened, what took place. But what we may not know is the story of what took place behind the scenes, the work that was completed, and really what was happening overall. Almost all the people behind the scenes were working diligently to try and make it work, especially with all the changes that took place. And those changes continue to this day, which is something I have to say for the people that really remained throughout the whole time period. Their dedication to making it work, to ensuring that events still went on and things went on, that they put forward what we really needed to have happen and stuck it out was simply fantastic. So we're going to talk a little bit about what took place and how we came to be. So let's go all the way back to 128 years ago, 1897. A group of local agricultural producers founded the Lethbridge and District Agricultural Society, promoting agriculture in the region with a history of that predates Alberta itself. The organization built its first permanent venue and hosted the World Dry Farming Congress in 1912, putting the Lethbridge on the world agricultural map, eventually shifting the name to the Lethbridge and Agricultural Exhibition, Lethbridge and District Exhibition. The organization built what we would call old pavilions today to run events produce events, and really develop the ag world along with the Ag Expo and farmers markets that you experience today, and the District Pro Rodeo, as well as some Aggie Day events that are just a few that we need to mention. It worked closely with local 4-H shows and groups, and it kept the agricultural roots strong. As of 2023, though, LDE had more than 500 community shareholders and a community-run board. But with LDE's footprint expanded to produce the Glow Christmas Lights Festival, Home and Garden Show, barbecue competitions, as well as a number of other events, it surely had to stray from its agricultural roots. In doing so, to try and maintain its entity and try and maintain the costs of its operating on the larger picture. An operation at a large venue, the organization is challenged with different priorities and different ways of flowing. And that was the issue that only magnified itself as we expanded through time. We now call it the Lethbridge Trade and Convention Centre. You may have known it as the Agri-food Hub. A state-of-the-art trade and convention center. Planning for the venue goes back more than 20 years as replacing the aging old pavilions, so identified as a priority for the organization and the city. Over time, a number of options of both location and project scope were considered, and eventually it was agreed that the new venue would be built on the current LDE site. The project truly took off when COVID-era funding was provided by the government of Alberta. An agreement was struck that would then see the construction project funded by the government of Alberta, the city of Lethbridge, and a 30-year loan taken out by LDE itself. The ground was broken in 2020 and construction began. Opening in August of 2023, the venue is 268,000 square feet with 4 different halls, convention and meeting space, and of course a lounge and several other spaces on the grounds that provide for a variety of outdoor events as well. This was also, we also had funding from the federal government through the Prairies Can Group, which helped us quite a bit in our AV and our structure that you see there in the kitchen and a few other areas. Is the venue perfect? One would say no, we have a little ways to go. However, it is a good venue. It is a great venue for conventions and meetings. It will service Lethbridge for years, and it is something that really can benefit the community in a number of ways, attracting large conventions, meetings, and other types of trade events throughout the years on both a local, provincial, national, and international level to some degree. And it really does allow Lethbridge to do things that couldn't do before and grow into the very facility it is. I know some people had questioned a little bit about its size, but its size is the right size. It is something that when the trade halls are full, they're full. And when the convention side's full, it's full. And at times, we can accommodate almost everything. And we're trying to make changes that really accommodate other various areas. So it really does fit well for Lethbridge. Were there hurdles when the venue first opened? Absolutely. Food and beverage was questionable, high rental charges. 2 areas identified right out of the gates were those, along with some other challenges with the electrical and a few other things. Electrical is always a surprise given it's a modern day facility. But overall, we began to start to make some changes. In November of 2023, LDE went in front of City Council, and it comes to light that there is an organizational challenge, and they're in dire financial shape. Faced with a no-win situation and committed to protecting the investment in the venue that they had, both from the city and the province, the city of Lethbridge took steps to take control of LDE. In short, what happened next is the city of Lethbridge and the board of LDE at the time formed an MOU. This MOU allowed for some changes to take place and for the city to step in and help finance or bridge finance with emergency funding. At that time, LDE was on the verge of going broke, and no one wanted to see an ag society lost. No one wanted to see a venue that so much investment had been made lost either. And as well, we needed some time to find out what was going on and how it would go. It's important to remember that part of the MOU was that the city agreed that it would return the ag society back to the community once it was feasible to do so. This commitment over time is one that the city has kept and actually has done it a little sooner than what they originally had planned. In January 2024, Lethbridge City Council approved the emergency funding and moved forward to introduce 2 people into the venue, of which one of them was myself. I was approached to help understand what was going on there, how it was operating, and to look at exactly what was going on and what we needed to do. I arrived there January 2nd of 2024 and have remained there since. The reason I was approached is some of the background I had. I've worked in convention centers, actually ran one, ran soft seat theater. I've been involved in 2 convention developments and expansions, as well as worked with trade, sport, tourism, and arenas. The only one I don't think I've been involved in is stadiums. So the city had said, can you go over there, take a look, let's see what's going on and how can we fix this and make it. What I found there when I initially went, and I just want to share it with people, is and I said this before, is a resilient group of people. These people were dedicated to seeing the events continue. They wanted it to be successful, and were putting every effort to make that happen. And to this day, I'd say that is the same. The people who didn't want to be involved had already, some of them are already left, and then a few others afterwards decided to go. But the core group remained and really helped generate something that was special there. The other thing we saw was it's a venue that really could be viable and be very productive for Lethbridge. It will take some time. You know, we've been making changes for 2 years, and I think we have another 2 years of changes. But at that point, we will start to hit our stride and really develop. But it's not a quick fix ever. So it really has taken some time, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate the city's patience, the people, the citizenship patience, and I think in the long run it will really pay off for Lethbridge down the road. So with that, we had to get right to work. We had emergency funding in place. We had to keep the organization running. Decisions were made almost immediately to continue with Whoop Up Days, to continue with the rodeo, continue with Ag Expo. These are core events that really help Lethbridge. And what we've seen is a real growth in them too. Our rodeo has never been more popular. And the Whoop Up Days has continued to grow over time as we continue to introduce new and new opportunities and new ideas into it, and really try to get it back for people and draw people in. Ag Expo is a crown jewel of both of Lethbridge and District Exhibition, as well as Lethbridge. This event really does reach out to the ag community, but also to business. It develops business, it's tourism, it's everything you'd ever want. And it is highly successful, and we want to continue to grow that as well. We had to make some changes, though. The caterer was not servicing what we needed. The caterer was charging quite a high price for a product that really wasn't delivering. We had some challenges with high rents. We're charging Calgary and Edmonton prices that weren't going over well. And we needed to really understand that we're to the south of Calgary. What that means is we have to bring people. We have to make them want to come here because we're not in that Calgary, Red Deer, Edmonton corridor. We're a little more south, a little more challenging. When I first came there, we didn't have any salespeople at the time, so we needed to implement sales and really develop what I would call group sales or our convention and meeting sales. And that's something we went to work with right away, which really needed to happen and really has been a success story for us. At the same time, we had to make sure that we weren't taking anything from things that we were doing well. You know, we wanted to make sure that the events that we did well, we were doing while we're attracting new events. And then how do we fit them all in and make it all work? As some of you have seen, if you've been there, you can have 3 to 4 events on at the same time. And you have to manage those both through the corridor and how do they get in and what's the benefit. And some people don't like to share space with other people, but it just depends on what you rent. It's also worth mentioning that the effort and commitment by the City of Lethbridge allowed us to ensure that the Agricultural Society would survive. This was a stated priority several times from both the board, administration, and others. Shutting down the Ag Society would have been one solution that we could have done, but given that because the Ag Society really is a provincial initiative, because it's the Ag and District. But it wouldn't have benefited Lethbridge, and it wouldn't have benefited Western Alberta and the region that we help. So the city understood that, made it a priority that the Ag Society needed to survive one way or another, and that we needed to focus on agriculture and keep that ag focus in play at all times. That includes achieving 50 event days, 50 ag events a year, which was a requirement by the province, along with a number of other requirements. But we achieved that and made sure that it continued, and we're looking for that sustainability option for the future. We had the support of the city, we had the resources, we had a great team in place. We went hard on our strategy execution, and I'm proud to say that we were able to accomplish a lot in the last 2 years. We couldn't quit on this community, and nor would we want to. Our rental events climbed to almost 224 and 291 for 2025. We hope to reach 350 by 2026. Not just rental events, we're looking at value rentals. How many of them are we attracting from out of town? How many are we bringing in that are new events that really will help shape and put Lethbridge on the map, getting more and more people to the south of Alberta. Whoop Up Days had set back-to-back records over the last 2 years, as well as the rodeo. The rodeo is really riding a wave that's quite incredible. This year we hit over 9,000 people, which is really something since its return about 4 years ago. And it is growing ever since. I think we're now trying to figure out how do we do more things and how do we get more people. And that's really an area that really we want to grow and develop further. And we were invited to produce the city's Canada Day event in conjunction with them, which we've helped to bring more to the south and really protect the park to some degree, and yet provide that park kind of Canada Day atmosphere that really makes it a success overall and develops that southern area. As far as the numbers go, when we first started out, when we took it over, we estimated that given all the costs and everything that was going on, that we would have a $6.1 to $6.2 million deficit. By working quite hard and diligently and really making some changes immediately and then further changes, we were able to bring that down to an estimated $3.2 million deficit, and then ending the year at a 2.7, roughly $2.8 million deficit. This year, we're looking at coming in at about a $1.8 million deficit, and we are close to achieving that. And our goal is to continue to reduce the deficit. Can we get to a break even? That's a good question. Again, that will come over time as we develop our convention and meeting business and our core areas. So we have 3 other core areas to venture into and really develop those that will help bring in more revenue. And I think we have a chance at achieving that. Oh, okay, I better jump here. So moving to the new path forward. We'd made changes and taking over how we were making some big decisions. We made those changes, and then we chose, and then we were able to get secure funding from council that would allow us to continue to the end of December 2026, of which then we'll have a very, very good idea where we live, what we're doing, and how we're doing it. I'm just going to jump to our new era here. On September 18th, the future of the announcement was made on Excite Lethbridge and the new Lethbridge District Agricultural Society. This goal was to split the 2 entities to make them both effective. It wasn't enough. We had lost some focus on the ag, even though we were trying to do it. In the meantime, you're trying to develop new events and focus on your convention and meeting markets and those which don't really fit entirely with ag. There is some overlap there, but not entirely. By setting up the new board, giving it back to the community, and starting our shareholders, which you can become one now, it really helped us grow the the ability to start focusing 100% on ag. So the LDAS board will now be looking at how do we grow ag, how do we develop ag, how do we make it better. Meanwhile, Excite Lethbridge is now the operator of the property. It encompasses the 72 acres. And it allows us to continue with those events, Whoop Up Days, Rodeo, Ag Expo. Now, some of these may sound like they're ag events. To some degree they are, but some of them are also high-risk events. Our goal is to create an ag society that is fundamentally balanced, focused on ag and ag development. We have an exciting new board, which really is looking forward to the future. And we also have Excite Lethbridge, which will manage the property, the utilities, looking for those other markets and really pushing forward into the future. So LDS's mandate is pretty much, it's opportunities of new ag events. It's the opportunity to develop new ag events. And it's that focused that they can incorporate things into the ag. So things like Whoop Up Days, they now could put in a petting zoo or things like that. Incorporate pieces into the Ag Expo. But also develop Aggie Days, bring that back, which was once lost. Also develop 4-H programming and a few other things that would allow us to continue to grow. The mandate for Excite Lethbridge is to position Lethbridge as a premier destination by growing its cultural, agricultural, sporting, and entertainment sectors, attracting major events and driving regional economic growth, tourism, and creating a quality of life that is for all Lethbridge people, including employing people, using local services, and really moving money throughout the community. This is truly a unique solution and to a fundamental problem. It is balanced two worlds and is really a made-in-Lethbridge solution. No other ag societies have done this in the province, and we're part of the regional ag societies. There's 7 of them, and they all face challenges. We're trying something new, which has been fully endorsed by the government of Alberta, and we're very thankful for the ministry and how they brought things forward in what they're doing. Excite Lethbridge, we're really, it is the brand. The brand is to develop the area and to develop various sectors that I talked about. And we really do like where this is going, and we think it's an opportunity for Lethbridge to grow in both areas, both agriculturally and into the new era of developing new events, which we work on constantly, and also developing our convention meeting and the other sectors that we talked about. At this point, I'll probably wrap it up and allow it for questions. I want to thank you again and really appreciate the time you're given here today.
We also like to thank Rogers TV, Ryan Craddock, who faithfully comes here pretty much every Thursday, even though he said he wasn't going to do it anymore. And we also like to thank the University of Lethbridge, who provides some financial help plus logistical services for us. And Tangle Media, who looks after our website for free. It's a big help for us. And Lethbridge Herald, of course, is faithfully here almost every Thursday. And I'd like to thank Joe Manio for being a great supporter of SACPA. Anyway, if you'd like to ask a question, I'm sure there will be a few people who's wondering about what's going on at the Lethbridge Trade and Convention Centre. So please step up and ask a respectful question.
Thank you. Barb Phillips. I'm a bit taken aback by righting the ship because August 2023, the facility opened, and I think it was 2023, and by October we heard rumors as taxpayers that we were on the hook for, I believe, $9,000 per day to keep the facility going. I'm not sure, usually when you build something, even the Titanic, you kind of make it foolproof right from the get-go so it doesn't tip over halfway. But it's great we're moving forward because we as taxpayers, of which all these people are on the hook. Could you elaborate on how much we're on the hook for? Operating, that's the deficit, which I think is running at just under $2 million per year now, as well as there was a figure, I believe, of 15 million, some sort of loans. So go ahead.
That's a very good question. So council had passed that they would support the exhibition for the next 2 years up to the end of 2026 without increasing tax support. That incorporated, though, pulling money from from basically contingency funding. A few other sources, but at the end of the day, it's contingency funding. So you are right, initially it was about $9,000 a day. I would say we're down to about 4,200 a day and trying to make that drop even more. And our goal is to get it down. Like I said, it will take a little bit of time. We're hoping by December 2026 that we will have accumulated and got out there enough. And we really have established Lethbridge. We've really put Lethbridge on the map. We are now bidding on a number of things that we never used to. We weren't even at the table. We're not winning all of them, but we're at least there. We're bidding and trying to make it happen and find more events. We're also expanding the number of events, so the more revenue we generate, we'll bring it down. So the next 2 years, we will see pretty quick some of those results as we move into those different segments. The loan was a loan that the exhibition took out. The city has since absorbed that loan. And by doing that, it absorbed it into its own financials, so it's kind of paying itself. But by doing that, it reduced the interest that would have been paid over the 17 years by at least 10 million, if not more. And so that was a move that was done to limit and start to lower the even more of the cost. So it's kind of a self-financing loan at this time. But really it comes down to us generating more and more revenue. And that comes from attracting events outside this city and from our own internal. I didn't talk as much about that. Excite Lethbridge's goal is to really develop the property more. It's to take that 72 acres and what more can we do with it, and how can we bring in more money through different initiatives now that we know we're moving forward and have a future. It's also to grow those different events and to increase revenues through those various ways. So I don't know if I'm entirely answering your question, but that's currently where we're at and are the goals that we have.
Am I allowed 10 questions? Do you have time? No, just joking. So we know that tourism itself is an ecosystem and you're just part of that ecosystem. So speak into the mic. There we go. You're welcome. So Excite Lethbridge. So what are your overall strategies that you're developing or that you currently have in line with Tourism Lethbridge to attract events, and understanding that to attract events in that ecosystem, we have to have hotel development and air access. So how do you see Excite Lethbridge supporting our city in hotel development, getting better access to Lethbridge, and how are you working with your planning with Tourism Lethbridge to achieve these goals?
Well, those are very good questions. We are having a strategic planning meeting because Excite Lethbridge was just formed in September. However, we are, and Michelle is correct, we are one part of an ecosystem. Our entire focus is group business. We look at convention and meeting. We don't look at leisure or things. Those are areas that tourism looks after. And in fact, we want to work with all different groups, with the hotels, with tourism, to continue to develop that group business because it is core to the success of Excite Lethbridge and its future. It's also very beneficial to Lethbridge in growing the tax base and bringing other business. We do need to talk about hotels and work with the hoteliers. There is a need for a hotel either on site or very close by. Currently, I would say we're tracking it, 66 bids we can't make without a hotel on site or attached. We have currently just a slight, I'd say, infrastructure holdup. With the infrastructure being adjusted, either temporary or permanent, hopefully both, it will allow us then to pursue looking at a hotel, or potentially looking at talking to the hoteliers and looking at how would that work and benefit. On the tourism side, we really do like to work with Tourism Lethbridge, the Hotel Association, and basically other organizations that would help us. Travel Alberta, works with Tourism Lethbridge, and we'd like to be a part of that. And we see ourselves being more and more involved now that we know where we're heading, what our goal is, what our plan is, and knowing what we need to do now that we've worked through most of the challenges. We still have a few more challenges, no question. There are some limitations that we're trying to fix, and those will continue on. But really, we are out there now meeting, talking, and trying to attract groups and organizations. And to some degree with Tourism Lethbridge, we're trying to offset, so we're not duplicating anything that they're taking on other areas. We're taking on some areas, and we're trying to maximize the opportunities. So that's just begun, and I think we'd really like to grow that and develop it further.
Hello, I am Katie Aurora. One of the things that I've really noticed going out to the exhibition grounds is that it's very, very isolated from the rest of the city. You basically have to go through Henderson Park, especially if you are on bike or public transit. It's quite difficult to actually get to the grounds. And because it is so far out of the way, it's also hard to know when events are actually happening. You either have to be actively following an organization in order to hear that they will be hosting an event on the grounds, or because it is so out of the way, like you're not really going to be able to have like the kind of, you're walking by it and you see that there's an event going on, you decide to stop in, right? And because it is so disconnected from the rest of the city, I do think that it is one of the things that maybe is making it difficult to actually hold successful events, especially like when you do look at cities across the world that do have successful event venues like this. What you do see is that they are developed along with mixed-use development. Usually you have things like business development, like shops and restaurants, things like that. You have housing developments that go along with it. Like you touch a little bit on like hotel development, but it goes further than that. So you do mention that you do have a plan, you do have more space available. I'm curious how much, if at all, you've been working with the city in order to actively develop like transit infrastructure in order to connect the grounds to the rest of the city better, in order to make it more accessible by foot, by bike, to bring other forms of business into the area, so that if you do go to an event, you have things to do when you leave, or from the other side, if you have local, life and activity in the area, it makes it easier to attract more foot traffic into the venue, and maybe create local demand for events instead of just looking for external events to come to Lethbridge. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you. That's a very good question. You are correct. Most convention centers are built in the downtown of cities or near them. They'll be close to restaurants, hotels. They're in walking distance, and that's what delegates like. But that's not the cards we were dealt with. We do have it. So what we're trying to do is do twofold. You are right. We're working closely with the city, because I'm going to go back. We do need to develop that 72 acres. And maybe that involves a 43rd Street access drive, or, what we need is more probably a restaurant develop. What we really need, though, is to develop that plan, that strategic plan that says what will that acreage hold, and what do we want there? Do we want one restaurant, two? Do we want to attract a hotel, or do we want to attract? And so that's going to take place. We'll be talking more and more about that in the new year, with a real focus on how do we develop that. To some extent, though, the area is beneficial. We're trying to turn it around, go, We have a park. We have, a lot of places don't have that. You could maybe have your coffee breaks in the park, which would be something nice and different, not in the winter, but in the summer. You have an area that you can go walk. We are connected to what I would call a district that has the Nikayuko Center, baseball, has golf, so we can encourage pre and post golf activity for conventions, and really spin it around to make it a positive experience that's something different that they don't see in other places. Meanwhile, trying to attract some of those other amenities that we will need, but we really need to establish what is in and what's out. But you make some good points. The only one thing I will say is foot traffic doesn't really, I've worked in a number of venues, and people always say foot traffic, but people don't, they'll go, oh, it looks like it's busy, but they're very purpose-driven in this day and age. You're attending something or not. Rarely do people walk by and go, oh, we should just go check it out. They may, if there's multiple, like in the halls, if we had 3 Christmas trade shows going on, people may go, oh, I'll try the other one and the other, because it's right there. But not, people typically don't, they're very purposeful driven. So I don't know if that part of it would affect it, but to your point and the other points, they're very valid.
Hello, Joe Manley with the Lethbridge Herald. When the announcement of the overruns and such was happening, I was not at the Lethbridge Herald yet, but everybody was very excited before that about the upgrades. And then when they found out, there was the swift backlash and a lot of scrutiny over the site, which you've probably heard about already. And I've been asked by a few people, and this is a question for some of my readers and sources. Why isn't there a kitchen in anywhere on site, as far as I can tell? Because they're saying, we'd like to use it, but then now we would have to cater, we have to go do this. And other convention centers actually had at least a kitchen somewhere that people, like, let's say, local community, if they wanted to use it, they could access that. So was that just an oversight, or stuff like, or what? So again, it's good that you're having a transparent now, telling everybody what's going on in real terms, because at the time, the transparency was about the quality of aluminum foil when it was before that happened. Like, where was the oversight? So again, was that just commented like plans of making it, again, more, like Katie said, more accessible. It's like local groups that might want to use the place, but are not quite, it doesn't quite suit their needs because. Thank you.
You're right. I can't speak to the oversight that was prior to me, but I can speak to the kitchen. We do have a kitchen. We have actually quite a large kitchen operating, but you have to make a choice. You either operate it yourself or you bring in a group that can operate it. And we went out to RFP. We've secured Sky and Table, or LA Chefs, who are a local group, and they are operating out of that kitchen, and they provide our food and beverage service. I think they've done a good job of really changing the quality factor for us and really improved our delivery on the food and beverage end of things. Yeah, I think that answers. Yeah.
We're starting to run short of time, so I'm asking for short questions and equally short answers.
All right.
Thank you, Knut. Dave Major. Quick question. Why don't you cut a hole in the fence by Mountain Minerals, and then you'll have easy access to about a dozen hotels and restaurants?
Oh, actually, that's right.
Yeah, it sounds like it's easy. It's not as easy as one thinks. That fence, we actually have to keep closed because of it's really the rail. The rail, we would love to open up that road. Discussions were initially done with CP Rail before my time. We're going to try to revisit some of that, but it's almost unilateral on their side. We are at their beck and mercy, kind of. I've had these discussions, but we're hoping to bring them back to the table. It's one of our key topics to address, so we can open up that access. But currently, it is closed.
How about a gondola?
That would be.
Hello, my name is Sandra Dufresne. I'm hoping we can switch for a moment to the Ag Society, and I'd love to hear your strategy for recruiting for the board and what kind of staff complement do you expect to support that work? Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. That's a very good question. So we currently have a new board. On that board, there is one city representative, one one county representative, and then we have right now 5 members at large from the community. This comes from the shareholders. It's a board of 7, but it can be a board of 9. And that board was established and had their first meeting on October the 15th. They're now getting themselves together and starting to push out for other, what is it they want to do? How do they want to do it? And really establishing the program, the events. They do need a director. We're assisting them in the search for a director. This has not been an easy task. We started out in July with this and talked to a number of people, had a number of interviews, but the board is really wanting somebody, especially this first time, this director would then be, it has to be somebody who they really want to take it to the next level and develop. From there, the board will decide how large they want to go. Do they need just a director? Do they need an event coordinator? Do they need a fundraiser? Those will be decisions made by the LDAS board.
Justin Ellis. And my question for you is just a point of clarification around the break-even number that you gave. I know you're working towards break-even. I have a background. I was a volunteer board director for an entity kind of like the LDE, McDonald Island Park up in Fort Mac. So that's 2 of our ATB centers, our library, the exhibition, an aquatic center, all kind of meshed into one. And when you say break even, I'm curious if that involves the long-term maintenance and upkeep of the facility. And what do I mean by that? You got a brand new building right now, and you've got state-of-the-art technology, but in about 5 years, that technology is going to be obsolete, is going to need to be refreshed. If you had a brand new parking lot in 25 years from now, you'd have to completely overhaul it. Your furnace system, your HVAC system, your computer system. So that number that you gave, the break-in number, I'm just curious, is that breaking even for your operating costs every year? Or are you factoring in you're going to have enough money to remain completely unsubsidized once you hit your target?
That is a very good question. So you're right. It is an operating break-even number. There is the life cycle piece. And the life cycle money, so the city did accommodate the exhibition a few years ago with an adjusted a life cycle amount of $256,000. It's kind of into the budget. However, we did an asset management review, and that probably would not be enough over time. The electronics and audio-visual have a shorter expiry life, either by equipment or by software, and it is challenging. So no, it doesn't include the life cycle piece. That's something we have to work with. Now, some of that could be offset by negotiating a deal with the city and having their facility services group work with us on some of those things where we can lean a little bit on some of the people they have because they're servicing 15, 25 different buildings. Having an HVAC person come in and do one more for one thing would probably not be much. But we do have to come up with the life cycle plan for the future, especially when you see the old pavilions. You know, if you look at the difference between the arena and the old pavilions, the arena is 50 years old. That arena is still viable and can continue quite well. It's well maintained. The old pavilions are, they need care and attention, or they have to be demolished, which we're recommending. because it's just not going to be, they're too far down the path. It's a real difficult challenge. But to your point, that is a fair one that we are working on.
My name's Jim Moyer. I walked by there. I'm just wondering about that little Safety City property to the north. Is that part of the exhibition grounds now, or who's operating that? Years ago, Kiwanis a former Kiwanis Club put a lot of money into it. It seemed to fail as Safety City. Is there any future for that property or plan?
Yeah, that falls under Excite Lethbridge's area. So right now, we are currently renting it to Charm Playhouse. They use it as their offices. There was a thought that they might want to develop some area more, but what we really need to do is decide what we're doing with the area, the 72 acres first, and then that can be further developed. But it is part of Excite Lethbridge and part of the development. There's a number of things could be done there, and it's a nice piece of land. It's 1.9 acres. It even could be sold off to someone that would fit that area with potentially other options, hotel, restaurant, those types of things that really benefit it. So just to let you know, Excite Lethbridge's property is from that fence line all the way to the other side of the Rocky Mountain Turf Club and everything to the 43rd Street. So that's kind of the area that we're looking at that needs further development.
Hi, I'm Amber Murray. My question's pretty much financial small potatoes considering the amount of dollars that we've been talking about. But I'm quite surprised at the landscaping that you've done there. I'm getting pretty tired of Lethbridge continually putting in sod and continually putting in grasses, particularly that you're an ag society. I'm surprised that there weren't more gardens put in or ag demonstration gardens for visual interest and maybe to encourage young agrarians and more environmentalists into your future plan.
I have to say, this group has excellent questions. I really have to commend you. You are right. That is a lot of grass and a lot of irrigation. It's something that came across. I can tell you, I think that decision, I don't know entirely, but I'm pretty sure that decision was that sod was probably the most affordable solution at the time for that area. However, you bring a very good point because we've been trying to think, what do we do with that? How do we do it? I really have to say, up till now, we spent a lot of time trying to wrestle with where are we at? How do we get our costs under control? How are we developing our revenue in that? We are now on the cusp of changing that direction, going, okay, what do we need? How do we need to develop? What do we need to change for the future benefit? It's a great place to be rather than under fire, trying to scramble, making sure things are being met and changes are being done. But you bring up a very good point that is something I think we should consider, even if there was one area of it, because it's a lot of grass. Some areas we hope to program. We're trying to figure out how do we program some of that. I think the north is a little easier to program than the south, but that doesn't mean we couldn't incorporate some of that. It's an excellent idea.
We are almost right on time, but I get to ask one more question. It relates to all the old buildings and what is the plan for the old buildings? Are there any concrete plans about ripping them down or repurpose them, or because I know they are not in very good shape, so something have to happen either way. Can you give us a little bit of a update on that? And also, at the same time, you can give take-home message for the crowd here.
Thank you, Knud. The old pavilions, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but we are sending a recommendation to the capital improvement program in 2026. We have looked at a number of things. If you refurbish them and develop them, what would that mean? If you altered them for sport, what would that mean? They have a number of problems. So many, it would be another hour. So probably the most efficient way would be to demo them down. It'll be about $6.9 million to remove them and demo them. To refurbish them and build them up to where they are would take closer to 21 million. And I think we'd be better off with the space that we could then go back to that strategic plan and how do we develop areas? If we could get a hotel eventually and then a restaurant, let's get the parking in place and develop what we need there for the future. Because those buildings, if you spend that money, even if you spent the 20 to 25 million, you would have maintenance costs ongoing. All you've done is alter a building that really may or may not fit. I honestly believe if you need a soccer center, then you should build a soccer center. That's just a personal opinion. But because when you try and makeshift it, it does not work out very well. Usually you're disappointed day one. You're already into it quite deep, and then you have to maintain it. And if it's not fully set up, your maintenance costs will be quite a bit higher. Today we operate electricity. We have water for the fire suppression, but we don't actually turn the water on there. People are quite worried if we turn the water on that the pipes will burst. The equipment and HVAC system is old. To have it operate with people in there would be a challenge because they'd never pay enough in rent to operate it. I was quite excited. I thought, hey, last year we secured Spirit of Halloween, but after that, we realized very quickly, like we have some ancient equipment there, and we've lost 2 of the 4 HVAC motors. You can't really repair them. You have to replace them. It'd be about $500,000 to $1 million to replace them, and to put that in a building that you're not going to totally invest in, and no one will ever pay the rent that covers that. So, to a lot of extent, you'd be best off to remove them, attract investment into the area, and redevelop it to what it should be for Lethbridge to be an anchor for the South for 20 to 40 years and bring new events and new things. So if I leave you with anything today, I hope I'm leaving you with there is hope, there's promise. We've really transitioned from stopping the bleeding, the recovery. I mean, there's still costs, there's still things we have to deal with, but we're really looking towards the future. How do we make it generate more revenue? How do we make this a great place and a great place to stop for Lethbridge and out-of-town people? How do we generate the tourism and the quality of life of events? We've really built out the ones that we have, and how do we expand in those areas? So it's really all about a positive future that we think can happen. It'll just take a little bit of time, and I really appreciate the ideas and the questions today. It's been great.